Good morning. I think we're ready to get underway. I'm Peter Main, Executive Vice President, Nintendo of America. And with me this morning on my right is Mr. Satoru Iwata, a member of the Nintendo Board of Directors and the head of all Nintendo planning worldwide. Mr. Iwata will be making some comments in a few moments. We intend to spend the next hour showing you the very best of the next generation of video game consoles. And then we're going to take your questions for about 30 minutes, take a very brief recess for those of you who have other deadlines and events to attend, and we'll carry on with further Q&A for media and analysts for perhaps up to another 30 minutes. This unquestionably is an extremely exciting day in the history of video games, and Nintendo says that with the perspective of over 20 years of exciting days in interactive entertainment. Let me start out this morning by saying that Nintendo is absolutely convinced that both Game Boy Advance and Nintendo GameCube are going to be huge, and I underscore huge, marketplace successes, no matter what any other manufacturer is planning to do. This is due both to the superior nature of Game Boy Advance and the Nintendo GameCube and the games that play on them, but it also is supported with the strategies that underlie them. Inside Nintendo, we often refer to the Nintendo difference, the line you see above me. And at this show, we're going to go public with what that means. It's essentially four components. First and foremost, a tight, non-stop focus within our company on innovation. Secondly, an absolute fetish for quality. Thirdly, the creation and ownership of world-famous franchise characters. And of course, fourthly, an incomparable heritage of smash hit proprietary game development. Today, you can look at the worldwide video game business as basically having three components. The first of those, of course, is that true mass market for console gaming, including first-time players, pre-teens, early teens, and a growing number of parents, and all those older players, all the way up to those really old people in their 30s and 40s. This, by far, is the backbone of the business, over 80% of the tonnage, and an area that Nintendo has traditionally had a stronghold on. The second one, of course, is the targeted console market aiming at the avid players in their late 20s, or late teens and early 20s. And we may have been a little less aggressive with this group in the past, but as you're going to see here today, and on the show floor starting tomorrow, Nintendo clearly has this game in their game sites now. And then finally, of course, there's the handheld sector, a full 25% of the worldwide video game business, and the only segment, I might add, that has shown growth over these past 2 years. And as you know, Nintendo just doesn't have leadership in this area. We have absolute ownership. If there's any doubt about the future of this category, it's been answered with Game Boy Advance. In Japan, as you know, we launched on March 21, and in just the 5 weeks till April 30th, we have sold through an incredible 1.6 million pieces of hardware and 3.1 million pieces of software. It's an absolute smash hit. And get ready, America, because here it comes on June 11th, just 26 days from today. We already have pre-sale orders in excess of 200,000 units. We're set to deliver 500,000 pieces on day one and another 500,000 in the 2 weeks following that. And while that probably is not going to meet full initial demand, Nintendo is planning on shipping 24 million pieces of Game Boy Advance to retail in the first 12 months following its launch. And of course, our launch software in America includes our smash hit Super Mario Advance and F-Zero Maximum Velocity, along with another 15 to 16 licensee games. And all of that supported with a fully integrated launch budget of some $20 million, fueled with over 10,000 displays already installed at retail throughout the country, incredible promotions, saturation TV, print, online, outdoor, all under the marketing banner of Life Advanced. But I know the real reason you're all here today is the worldwide debut of Nintendo GameCube. We think to fully explain the import of Nintendo GameCube, we'd like to spend a couple of moments first expanding upon the strategy which underlies this phenomenal new product. So I'd now like to call upon Mr. Iwata.
Thank you, Peter, and welcome everyone. All of us at Nintendo who have been working on the GameCube project over the past several years are excited to be able to share the magic with you today for the first time anywhere. Nintendo has strong views on how we should run our company. We consider ourselves, above all, a game-based entertainment company. We believe other people who make video game systems see themselves first as technology companies. This is an important distinction. I, myself, before coming to Nintendo, worked as a game designer and then as an executive at a Japanese game development company called HAO. I learned a long time ago that in our business, it is almost impossible to create a game that catches up with technology even if 20 people are working together without a day off. This is because the technology you start with and the method you use certainly will be outdated by the time the game is finished. Among the first projects I designed was a game for original Nintendo Entertainment System. The memory for that game cartridge was 64 kilobits. By the time Super Mario 64 arrived for Nintendo 64 5 years ago, cartridge memory had multiplied by 1,000 times. Today, some game graphics already are as realistic as television. There is not much more designers can do to impress players only with pictures. Here is another problem. In our industry, games look too much the same. There are a couple of reasons for this. Independent developers need to spend millions of dollars to create the best 3D graphics. Then, if they succeeded in making a hit game, they try to repeat that success. How? They make a sequel. Not like the first game, and then and to pay back their big investments, understandably, they market all these sequels on every major platform. And while this is happening, many competitors are copying the design of that one hit game. So we have identified 3 clear trends. Too much focus on graphics over real entertainment. Too many sequels from a few hit games. And almost every hit game playing on every console. As a result, what lessons are we teaching our customers, our players? We think these often do not trust what you see. Because a game which looks good on a TV ad or in a store may not entertain you for very long. The hardest thing is to entertain. Next, there doesn't seem to be anything new. Everything looks too familiar. Boredom sets in. And finally, it may not really matter which machines you choose. They all play the same games. And if that happens, console makers find themselves in a commodity business, like TVs or VCRs. There is no reason for players to choose one over another except for price. With all this, it is little wonder that player can become frustrated, and this is dangerous to our industry because people do not need video games to exist. If they become too bored, they will just go away. At Nintendo, we feel an obligation to fight these trends. And how do we do that? With what we call the Nintendo difference. In our minds, the Nintendo difference has 4 legs, or foundations. The first is innovation. Our goal is always to do something different, something no one has thought of before. In truth, some of our inventions work better than others, but we never stop trying to innovate. Mr. Yamauchi always tells me we should achieve something that brings fresh, surprise, and joy. I like that. Next, we demand the highest quality from our games. Normally, Nintendo does not publish the most games, but regularly, we are responsible for the most popular games. Today, Nintendo's first and second party development staff are by far the strongest and most accomplished of any manufacturer in the world. This includes talent at firms like Rare in England, Retro and Left Field in the United States, Silicon Knights in Canada, and HAL, Creatures, Game Freak, and Intelligent Systems in Japan. Just as importantly, we create and expand the world's most popular video game characters and franchises. Mario and Zelda and Donkey Kong. And yes, Pokemon are entertainment names known around the world. Here, the Nintendo difference is obvious. If you want these stars, you simply cannot have them unless you own the Nintendo machine. The final leg is heritage. This year, we are introducing our 4th Nintendo home console, and every one of them has succeeded around the world. And of course, Game Boy has outsold any other game machines ever. I believe we know more about what makes great games than anyone else. And this is why Nintendo succeeds. This is the Nintendo difference. In our view, we are only an entertainment company, but we are working to become the best entertainment company anywhere.
And to introduce you to what is unquestionably the best pure video game console ever developed, I have the honor of introducing the world's best pure video game creator. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Nintendo's own Shigeru Miyamoto.
a new baby. Like all babies, it's small. It will make a lot of noise. Please allow me to welcome Mr. Bill Torinen from Nintendo of America. 我々このゲームキューブで Within Nintendo, どんなキャラクター We've had a lot of discussion about which of our most popular characters should be ready to appear in games when Nintendo GameCube comes to market. We think we've got a great answer. Take a look.
They really dug for that one. 15 years later, I slammed this bag.
Nearly all of Nintendo's popular characters have been vividly brought to life on Nintendo GameCube. You've seen Super Smash Brothers here. Tomorrow you can actually play it on the show floor. We're going to continue to make games like this for Nintendo GameCube, the kind that you can play with your friends and your family. Now we're going to take a quick glance at our next game, It's the next in the Mario series.
This is too cool. They had to get it in somewhere. Wow. Cold bread. Wow, that
On the way to starring role. There's a reason for this. Luigi won this mansion in a contest. When we went to see this mansion, he found that it was haunted. And Mario, who should have gotten there first, was nowhere to be found. And what's worse, there's a suspicious-looking doctor telling Luigi he needs to get rid of all the ghosts to save Mario. Now, using this game as an example, I'm going to introduce the GameCube controller.
Yeah, definitely.
This is the standard controller,
And look,
and this one
the way down.
is wireless. This is the Wavebird. You should be able to use this from up to 30 feet away, but I'll say 15 feet for now just to be safe.
so cool.
We'll play with the Wavebird a little bit later, and for now we'll use the standard controller. So let me explain this.
Oh, whoa.
Yes, he's like, they did.
It's here.
He's got the software.
Please refer to the two screens to follow along with my explanation. We'll be using a laser pointer to help you out. And I'll explain each part of the controller. Now on the left side, located in the center, is the control stick. Now this center position makes it the easiest place for you to control. Now this, the angle of this grip may seem a little bit tight at first, but this assures that you're going to have a natural angle of interaction to control the control stick with. The main part of the right side is the A button. This time it's a little bit larger, and it's in the center of the right half of the controller. And we've come up with this layout thinking that the most ideal games are those that use just the control stick and the A button. But we all know that there are some games that need at least 4 or more buttons. So here there are. We've added 3 around the A button. The B, the X button, and the Y button. Now with the A button as a home position, you will never press the wrong button. You don't even have to look at them. Now next,
we have the 4 and C controller buttons from the N64 controller, which are used for camera positions.
黄色い C スティックになってます。
They have been integrated into a single C stick.
これは主にカメラの操作なんかに使いますけども、
So we use mostly for camera controls,
このルイージのゲームではこうルイー
but
ジ
in
が
Luigi's Mansion, we'll be using it to move Luigi around the screen.
このスティックを使うと A ボタンとか B ボ
And
タン
when you use this C stick, it then becomes more difficult to press the A button and the other buttons on the face.
そこでよく使うのが
So in that case, we'll be using these buttons on the top more. The L button, the R button,
それから Z を
and this little Z button here.
見えますか？
Can you see that?
この L と R の2つは
Now the L and the R button are analog press switches.
それから最後に
And when you press them all the way in,
ターボボタンとも言うから
there is one more click you can make, kind of a turbo button. See?
パチパチパチパチ
Click, 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 click. You can try this on the show floor yourselves tomorrow.
で Z ボタンはすごく C ボタンと
Now the Z button is going to be a simple button, especially when used in conjunction with the C stick.
で最後になりましたが
And finally,
伝統の
we have our traditional plus control pad.
それからポーズとスタート
Oh,
ボタン
and we also have the start pause button in the center of the controller.
こういったところ結構複雑に見えるんですけど
And when you first take a look at this controller, it may seem kind of complicated.
で触るとすごく
But when you actually get your hands on it, you're going to see just how simple it really is.
64で使い始めた振動ですね
Oh, and the rumble feature, which we introduced with the N64,
この機能
has been built in to this controller.
であとはゲームデザイナーの皆さんが
Now I'm looking forward to seeing how all the game designers can make creative and innovative, simple use of this new controller.
期待したいと思います、それではルイージを動かしてみますね
Now let's move on to Luigi.
Oh my god. And it's not there.
ここにあるのが
What I have here
ルイージマシ
is
ン
a hot off the press Luigi's Mansion game disc.
Someone's gonna steal it.
It's gone Oh yeah.
It's gone.
しても何もゲームは言えない
Too bad you have nothing
Even
to
if
play
you
it
take
on.
pictures, you're not going to see the
I don't
game.
think I can.
子供でも持てるようにちっちゃいサイズ
Now, this is small. It can even fit in the palm of a child's hand.
容量は約 1.5GB
And in terms of memory, it can hold up to 1.5 gigabytes.
独自のセキュリティシステムで
And of course, its proprietary security is going to help protect against copying.
これ本体にすると
So we're going to put this into the GameCube here.
It's not really.
Awesome.
And look how fast it's loading.
はいほとんどロード
See?
That look.
Virtually no load time at all there.
Look.
じゃあルイージマンションに入っていきましょうか
Now let's see if we can't get inside Luigi's Mansion.
で最初からにアドバイス
First, we're going to get some advice from the doctor here by pressing the A button.
Move forward. Oh no, it was done. It's just being polished.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see these screens.
Oh wow.
はい入りましたお願いします
Okay, we're inside the mansion.
でここ暗いので懐中電灯を主に
It's
使
a
う
little dark inside, so Luigi's using a flashlight.
このゲームで一番大事なこの懐中電灯
Now, the most important feature of this game is going to be the control stick to move Luigi's direction.
Yeah, show up.
じゃあ移動はどうするのかということで
So if we're changing direction with that, what do we do for movement? And that's where we're using the C stick.
それから C スティックを使うと使いやすいのがこの R ボタン
And as you're using the C stick,
R ボタンで
it becomes more easy to use the R button. And that's used to control the vacuum.
Oh, jump.
And of course, we also have that turbo.
はいじゃあこの外へ出ていきましょう
Okay, let's go into this hallway here.
テレサと同じように
Now, just like Boo, the ghosts are going to appear behind Luigi.
ライトを当ててびっくりさせて
So you're going to use your light to shine it on them, startle them, then the vacuum will suck them in.
こういうゲームですね
This is the basic idea of the game.
それでもしライトを当てるのが遅れると
Now, if you shine the light on them too late, you're going to get screwed.
わけを止めてその
The only one that's bothering me is that it's the past 5.
So the idea is to flash the light and at that moment suck them into the vacuum. This is the kitchen here.
I know.
冷蔵庫の気になる
It's always
You can even suck up the mist from the refrigerator.
You could smell the detail.
You can suck up these mice too. I'm not very good at this game yet. So we're going to continue back through these hallways here. And again, as if you shine the light too long on the ghost, it's just going to disappear. So we'll come back this way. The bathroom. Hey, you can even move the curtain here. Oh, it's
Oh,
Boo.
I thought the original
Quick,
was
Boo.
Great. That's what I was missing.
And if we try to suck the curtain from this side. Oh. Oh, we opened it, but
What a tease.
there's no one there.
The reflection. Watch the reflection.
Also in this game, we use the L button. You're not going to see these features on the version we have on the show floor tomorrow. So today's kind of a sneak preview. But see, you can spray water out like this. And it's analog, so you can spray a lot of water or just a little bit.
Why are you gonna spray water?
こういう感じですね。あまり他のボタンは
We're not using the other buttons a whole lot in this game.
明日書いておきます。
But you will be able to play this tomorrow on the show floor.
ゲームチューブならではのこう光と影の演出がとても綺麗な
So I hope you'll enjoy these kind of creepy lighting and shadow effects that we've put on the GameCube here.
明日やります。
Oh, yeah.
So take some time tomorrow to take a look at it.
It's so smooth.
コントローラーなんか
Oh, there is one more thing about the controller.
Uh-oh.
I was forgetting that.
これですね。
This Game Boy Advance.
来月発売するこのゲーム
As you know, it's going to be launched in the US next month.
これをこうコントローラーとして使う。
And this will be able to be used as a Nintendo GameCube controller.
で今度のショーではあまりこれについて
Now, we're not going to give you any real concrete examples about that at this show.
このアドバンスのワンカートリッジ
But as with the single pack multiplayer modes on Game Boy Advance,
このカートリッジが
you're not going to need an extra cartridge to use it as a controller. So it's going to be very easy to use.
次回の展示会ではいろいろ新しいものを
We'll be showing you some new ideas with this at our next show, so you can look forward to that too.
Space World. I knew that was.
なんか奥の方でルイージが助けを求め
It
て
sounds like Luigi's in back and he needs my help.
ちょっと助けに
I'll be back later, but I'm going to duck back there for now.
じゃあ
Thank you.
When he referred to the next show, he did not mean next E3. He was referring to Space World Tokyo August. You're going to be seeing a lot more of what this is all about. So that's just a first look at what comes out of this incredible Nintendo GameCube. I'd now like Mr. Iwata to come back up and tell you a couple of the secrets about what's so special inside of the GameCube. Mr. Iwata.
There is one more important example of the Nintendo difference I would like to address. It has to do with how Nintendo GameCube was designed. I hope you will allow me a couple of minutes to explain. In 1996, when Mr. Miyamoto introduced Super Mario 64, many people said Mr. Miyamoto showed for the first time what real 3D games could look like. But at the same time, Mr. Miyamoto and his team became the first people to fully understand how difficult programming in 3D can be. 3D graphics certainly can be pretty to look at, but usually not so pretty to create. For developers, they are complicated, time-consuming, and very expensive. We say that game designers are often fighting against their own machines. and the more time they spend fighting machine, the less time they can devote to concentrating on what is really fun or unique about the project. And their struggle means added costs and profit concerns for publishers. With Nintendo GameCube, we wanted to help developers overcome these problems to create a truly developer-friendly console. Here's how. 3D pictures are created in what is commonly called a pipeline, with several different functions performed separately. It may be easier to think about this as a conveyor belt or an assembly line. Creating 3D graphics has always meant overcoming delays or bottlenecks in the technology. It is like having one person missing from the assembly line. All work will slow down or stop. Some manufacturers imply that they can overcome such bottlenecks simply with more powerful processors or faster graphics chips. But this is not so. All they do is make the assembly line run faster and cause the bottlenecks to happen sooner or more often. That's why Nintendo has never agreed to argue our technical specifications. We do not quote a figure for peak performance, as others do, because this only measures a machine's ability to draw a type of empty polygon that would never appear in a game. It is a meaningless number. Instead, we worked with world-class design partners, IBM, ATI, Gnosis, Matsushita, and NEC to design GameCube, above all, to eliminate the troublesome bottlenecks. We did not concern ourselves with peak performance, but rather the constant, reliable performance, which is most important to game developers. The result is the most efficient and the most game-friendly console ever devised for 3D. In fact, we expect that in future generations of technology, this architecture will become an industry standard for all video game devices. The first example of this is the new Panasonic system designed for the Japanese market, which will incorporate the exact GameCube technology with CD and DVD devices. In real game terms, Nintendo GameCube delivered the best performance ever. Developers aren't fighting this machine. They are loving this machine. Of course, it is up to the developers themselves to decide whether we have accomplished our goal. But I believe the following comments from 3 of the world's best game creators show that we are well on our way.
First saw the demo of the specs and the layout, they were in utter shock. I can't believe this, it is so good.
What really excites us about the machine is how easy we feel it's going to be to work with. The new technology is designed by people that understand games. This is games hardware brought to us by a games company.
I think Sony has given everyone a chisel, and they can create this piece of artwork with a chisel. If you make one mistake, you can't erase that mistake. Where the Nintendo is like a pencil, where you can go through, create your world. If you make mistakes, it's easy to go back and optimize things the way you need to optimize them.
People are going to be able to focus on creating the game rather than, struggling with the hardware. It's basically going to be an incredibly powerful machine that's going to be easy to program, and say you get 90% of the maximum peak out of it straight out of the box. You're not going to have to sit there and worry about coming up with the technology and milking the hardware that'll allow you to create great games.
Pushing more polygons is important, but what they've really done is optimize the system to make the best video game performance rather than the best polygon performance.
We're telling stories like we've never told before, and all of the ideas that we really wanted to convey, we can do this with the new technology.
Now you're going to see that people can produce great stories, great content, really start to come to the forefront. And I think it's a time where the people who really create great games are really going to stay there.
The machine is so capable. We are able to very closely deliver what we really want to show the players. It's wonderful for our designers. You've seen the sort of things that we can do with N64. I mean, this is a whole order of magnitude better. This is the first 3D platform that really will give us the ability to show you what we want to show.
The graphics people saw how the technology guys reacted, started talking to them and said, so what does this mean we can do? And then when they found out, their eyes lit up and you could just see them starting to drain. We're going to create these worlds that are just going to blow people away.
In the end, what Nintendo GameCube does is absolutely promote innovation. And there's nobody that's been spending more time innovating than Mr. Miyamoto himself. You saw some examples with Luigi and certainly Smash Brothers. He's been working on another very, very special project. Take a look at
No one's got a chance to play it, but I'm pretty sure once they have, it's gonna be...
It's kind of like an RTS hybrid.
Well, I don't know. He's working on a new genre. What's It's like black and white, but small.
know there's probably a few out in this audience who were more than a little mystified when you first saw Pokemon, but it turned out okay, didn't it? I think we should have the creator of this, Mr. Miyamoto, come back out and give you some of his real insights into what that game's all about. Please welcome him back.
We have been challenging ourselves in many ways lately to try to come up with something that's truly unique. But that's really difficult. Well, today I don't think I can show you something that's totally unique. I think this is at least something that's kind of new. Now let me explain Pikmin to you. Actually today I have the main programmer, Mr. Colin Reed from EAD, who's here with us today. Colin? So if there's any problem with the program here today, it's Colin's fault. Colin is actually going to use the Wavebird to play the game for us. Now the idea, the theme of this game is based off of a group of ants. And the main character, he's crash landed on a distant planet. And he's run into these creatures, kind of plant-like. This is him running around on screen now. So he's going to use the Pikmin, travel around the planet, find the parts to his ship, and escape from the planet. That's the story. Now you can see some kind of a sprout there poking up out of the ground. This is a Pikmin. Now the Pikmin, like ants, work in groups. They can also be planted in the ground and grown from sprout to leaf to bud and flower. Now let's pull this Pikmin out of the ground. So here the Pikmin has met you and he's under your control now. Now in order to give orders to this Pikmin, you'll use the B button. And you throw them out there. And then to call them back, you'll just press the A button. So we'll use these Pikmin to cut these flowers down here. Come on. Okay, he's back. And now this is a pellet that's popped out of the flower. And we'll have the Pikmin carry this. So he's bringing that back to the nest there. Heave, ho, heave, ho. So when he gets this back to the nest, hey, he's got some new friends coming out there. And if you pay close attention here, you'll see them sprout out and kind of grow. Now let's call all the Pikmin out. Now let's see if we can find something new out here. It looks like these larger ones take a few more Pikmins. But I wonder how many. Let's try this. Hey, there's a 5 there. That's easy. Let's try it with 5 of them. Oh, there we go. They got it. There's a larger one there. A 10. That one, I don't think we can quite move just yet. So I think we're going to need about 10 Pikmins for that.
Oh, look at it. Look at it. Look how grounded they are.
Maybe we can get some of his friends to help him out. Maybe there's some red Pikmins around. Hey, these guys can help out. Yeah, there's a lot of red ones here. Let's get them to help these blue ones out.
This is going to be good.
Oh, they've got it. They're moving it. So, as you can see here, when you give the orders, the Pikmins work really hard. Just like the members of our development teams. Right,
だいぶこう数もね増えてきましたね。
So gradually you're going to increase the number of Pikmins that you
これを動
have.
かすのに今度 C スティックを使います。
And again in this game we're using the C stick, this time to move the group of Pikmins.
でこれねみんなもっともっと進みましょう。
Now let's move along here.
敵を避けたりもしますね。
You can also use the C stick to dodge your enemies.
ほんで放っておくとねなんか
And
みんな
if you just let the Pikmins hang out there by themselves, oh, you're going to see,
リラックスして
oh, they're kind of relaxing there and taking a break.
うちのチームのメンバー
That's also a lot like the members of our development teams.
彼らまた頑張れっていうとこれね気に登ったらいろいろするんですよ。ちょっと
So these guys can actually do a lot of different things. We can take them over here
ここに
and they'll climb up these sticks.
気に登ったりねそれから壁を崩したりしますよ。青いのを入れましょうか。
And we can even grab some blue ones here. And they'll even go and tear down walls and things like that.
彼ら壁をこうやって壊したりね
So as they go and they continue to break down this wall here,
橋を架けたり
they can also, you can have other groups at the same time building
Guys, put your
bridges
hands together.
or even building forts.
なんかいろんなことをしてて
They can do a lot of different things.
こうしてねちょっとずつこう
So,
世界を作り変えていくゲーム
This is a game where you gradually influence the world, the environment around you.
もうちょっと頑張れ
Come on, guys. Come on, keep going. Maybe we can show what's on the other side of that wall.
That is just so perfect. The
So
animation.
we can use the C stick and just run them right into these walls and give them work
当然やっぱ
directly.
り仕事はね
And if you're using larger groups, they'll get the work done a lot quicker.
これでねこのピクミン今度巣に戻したり
So, and actually, when you have a lot of Pikmin here, you can actually take some and store them back in the nests. It's really easy to do. So we'll come back here to the nest.
今赤が13個
And right now, it looks like we've got about 13 red ones. Okay, let's send those back into the nest.
また呼び出したりもして
And you can also call them back out.
Slide down the holes.
No, but look at, I can't believe the detail.
So you can actually manage hundreds of Pikmin in this way.
でちょっと敵との戦闘
So we're actually going to go and take a look, see the Pikmins when they actually get into a fight with some of their enemies.
私が僕から
But first, I want to tell you a little
最
something
近
here.
ね私
I've recently moved into a new house,
でそこでこう今庭作りを
and ever since then, I've been really busy gardening.
でそういう意味でも今非常にこの植物のようなアリのようなキャラクターに
I've got quite an attachment to these kind of plant-like, ant-like creatures.
で3つのこの色によって
And
特性が違いますし
the three colors of these Pikmin actually represent
で土に埋もれて
different
だんだん
natures.
育っていく
And as you plant them in the ground and they grow, their different forms, the leaf, bud, and flower, are going to represent different characteristics.
ピクミンが今また戻しましょうかゲーム画面見ましょうか
So now we're back to the game screen here.
で景色がすごく綺麗だ
You can see here that the background scenery is very beautiful and very realistic.
これは私の家の近所の山
And we took the resources for these materials from my own neighborhood, from the mountains and the gardens around my house. This is
この
nice.
ピクミンたち夜になるとね敵に襲われて全部壊れち
Now
ゃ
the
う
one thing about Pikmin is that when night comes,
昼間は敵と戦
they're going to
い
be eaten by the enemies that surround their
戦い
homes.
しましょう
So let's see if we can't go do something about those enemies.
Little army.
前から行くとパクパク食われるんで
So if we attack the enemy from the front, all these Pikmins are just going to get gobbled right up. Oh no! This is not going
Yes!
Maybe
I
we
don't
can
want to
run
know
up
how
behind
many
him.
freaking polygons these things are made of because they're perfectly
Maybe we can
round.
throw him on his back from here.
Dude, the little buggers.
Okay, there we go. They're cleaning us back. So tomorrow at the show floor, I'd like all of you to see just how many Pikmin you can collect.
で家に帰って
And who knows, maybe after the show, when you get back home and you look in your own backyards, there may be Pikmin crawling around there too.
もしいなかったら
But if not, you won't have to wait long until they're swarming the Nintendo GameCube launch.
Tells me he's growing something else in his
That's
backyard.
Pikmin.
Did you know that marijuana is mushrooms are
Colin, he's actually going to have to go right back to work. He's got to finish this game, you know. So, gonna have to blow my whistle here and get going. So a big round of applause.
Around the world, development is
Getting going. So a big round of applause.
Around the world, development is well underway on dozens of excellent games for Nintendo GameCube, and gamers will be playing them soon. Full-scale Nintendo GameCube launches will occur in Japan on September 14th, in the United States on November 5th. And in Europe early next year. Our function at this meeting today, and for all of we three, is simply to begin explaining the meaning of Nintendo GameCube. The process of further understanding the Nintendo GameCube story continues at our annual financial announcement in Japan 8 days from today, when we will reveal pricing information for Nintendo GameCube hardware and software, and details on our launch quantities. And more innovation will be on display when our Space World exhibition takes place in Tokyo in August. I certainly hope you enjoy your chance to try both Game Boy Advance and Nintendo GameCube on the show floor starting tomorrow. And thank you for having me here today.
As Mr. Iwata said, it's only the beginning. And so in the interest of getting on to the Q&A, we're going to shut down the demos, let you all do that tomorrow, and have you get out and discover for yourselves the real joy of playing the wonderful software that runs on this system. And as he said, if you're looking for more innovation beyond what you're going to see at this show, and you're going to see lots of it here, the big event is last week in August in Tokyo, Nintendo Space World. But for the here and now, remember again, the launch is only 4 months away with that world debut in Japan, followed by the North American launch less than 60 days after. And it's going to arrive with the absolute best lineup of games ever for a Nintendo console, because it's already the developer's system of choice, and it's destined to become the gamer's system of choice, no matter what your playing taste. Here's a sampling of some of the products you're going to be seeing.
How do you keep making the greatest games? You start with a platform, one that blends power and agility with a singular purpose. You base everything you do on the art of the developer and your true knowledge of the players. Then you make it affordable and available. Add a generous helping of pure Nintendo fun, and you call it GameCube.
Yeah! Whoa! Whoa!
What does it take to make a great game? What it takes is the Nintendo difference.